let's talk just a minute or two, try to keep it short, about what Clifton Strengths are. They are a list of 34 themes, I guess you could call them. That's how Clifton Strengths describes them, that are strengths that have been researched and carefully studied, that everybody in the world has these strengths. However, they show up differently for each person. And one of the things that, if you're math or a statistical kind of person, one of the stats that we like to share with people is that there are 34 strengths, and the possibility of you having the exact same order of those 34 strengths as anybody else in the world is 1 in 8 billion. And since there are almost 8 billion people in the world, that means you are truly one of a kind, infinitely unique. So that's just a little bit about what strengths are. You can access this by taking an online assessment. It has to be online because for a human being to calculate everything, it would just take forever. So their computers at Gallup will analyze your results from your online assessment and will give you just a wealth of information back in the report. So you can go to gallup.com, I believe it is, and click on all the little buttons to find Clifton Strengths and take your assessment, or you can contact Teresa or myself, and we have access connections to get you a little bit of a discount.
We have connections.
Yeah, because we're relationship builders.
Yes. Thank you so much.
With the right people.
That was beautifully said, Linda. And there is a personal investment in yourself that you would be doing by, you do have to invest with some money in order to unlock your awareness of these superpowers. Right. I call them superpowers. They are based on strengths. It's a strengths concept, and their traits, characteristics, and I may be repeating this, so I apologize if I am, that we all have, but we don't really realize that they are superpowers. They're so easy for us to do. They just come innately and organically that we sometimes don't realize, oh, this is unique to us in the way we will present it, and nobody else on the planet thinks like we do with this combination of strengths.
Right.
So it's sometimes better to have an outside person reflect back to us who we are so that we can actually see it from their perspective. It's so empowering. And for me, Linda, I'm guessing it was the same for you. When I heard my strengths report read back to me, it was like, oh my God, like, who is that amazing person?
Right.
Like, it was just so enlightening. And I just saw myself in a way that I had never seen myself or heard about myself before. And it was almost hard to process.
Right. Yeah. It is hard to process all at once. But you also see like kind of like, oh, you know what? This is how I've been my whole life. Like when I was a kid, like for me, the includer strength is really high. When I was a kid, I was like always the champion for the underdog. Like I felt bad for someone who was sitting by themselves. And I didn't care if they were cool or not. Like it was, I just like everybody needs a friend. Everyone needs to be included. And I've been that way my whole life. So it really resonated.
And now you can put a word to it. You can have a concept around it. You can communicate to others how you're thinking and why you want to include that person sitting over there by themselves. That's my includer superpower coming through.
Right.
so it's really empowering to have those words to help clarify it for yourself and to clarify it to other people. So
Mhm.
there's very many nuances and layers to these strengths and understanding them. And we just spoke about some of them.
Yeah.
So thank you for that, Linda. So
Yeah.
this is an report that we're going to look at today and see what we can determine about this person. Now,
Mhm.
this person, would ideally be in front of us, and we can get confirmation and validation how these strengths play out for them. So the way they're lined up is unique to this person.
Mhm.
And they all kind of intertwine and they all partner with each other and they create this beautiful mix of a unique person. So we
Mhm.
may be talking about them individually, but they all do work together.
Right. Right.
And we're going to focus on the top 10. That I like to
Mhm.
refer to that as their zone of genius.
Mhm.
And then the bottom 5, we don't call them weaknesses. They
Right.
are just what we don't need to use and what we don't want to use because it's de-energizing to be operating out of those bottom strengths.
Mhm.
So we really want people to be up in those top 10, maybe 11, 12, 13. Those
Right.
will come into play as well. But any strengths in the middle are pretty much neutral, irrelevant. They
Mhm.
really don't matter to us. They hold no energy, and everything we need to do, we can do from the top 10.
Mhm.
So that's a little more explanation about looking at this whole 34 report.
Right.
And you can see the colors on the right in that box. Those are the domains or the themes that Gallup has created.
Mhm.
And what we do is we look at the top 10, we count them up based on those colors, and we determine a person's dominant domain. Some
Right.
people have a secondary domain. Some people have 3 domains that are very, very close together. That means they can kind of transfer between each of them depending on the situation. They're very fluid. They're
Mhm.
very chameleon-like.
Mhm.
They can adapt to anything going on in the moment, which we all can, but they just
Right.
seem to be able to jump between domains a lot easier than other people. So I went ahead and counted these up, and I'm going to have you confirm for me, Linda, if I counted them
Mhm.
right, because I
Mhm.
don't always do that. But I actually counted 3 executing,
Uh-huh.
3 influencing,
Uh-huh.
and 3 relationship building. Did I count that right or did I miscount?
Oh yeah, you're right. I was thinking it was 3322.
Okay, let me
Sometimes the
look at
blue
the
and the green look alike in the colors, but
correct,
you're right.
correct.
You're right. Yeah. It's a 333.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
when a person has 3 in a domain, 3 or more, that makes that domain really important to them.
Mhm.
When they
Mhm.
have 4 strengths in a domain, it's important, really important. When they have 5, it's really, really important. And when
Mhm.
it's 6, it's almost obsessively important.
Right.
You really have to pay attention to that, how they're showing up and how they use that domain. So this person has a pretty equal split between 3 domains.
Yeah, very much so.
So this person had, and we would have to talk to the person to
Mhm.
see which one shows up more frequently first, because there's going to be one that they kind of use a little bit more.
Right.
And just if I could guess, by looking at the top 5, I would guess executing is going to be a
Mhm.
little bit more important to them than the
Mhm.
other ones. What do you think,
And
Lynn?
and that is what CliftonStrengths, the report has said, that they do lead mainly with those executing strengths. And CliftonStrengths has like a fancy algorithm, and they take into account the top 5 are weighted more heavily than 6 through 10, and you know I don't know what all they take into consideration, but yeah, they CliftonStrengths says that this person leads with executing themes. So
So that
it's definitely there in that top 5. You
Right.
definitely see a lot of the purple color.
Right. But they can jump domains
Yeah.
fairly easily because
Yeah.
they got 3, 3, and 3. But
Right.
Linda and I are just guessing that they probably want to get things done. They want to be productive. They want to
Mhm.
take action a
Right.
little bit more than connecting with people, and a little bit more than moving people from point A to point B as quickly and as efficiently as possible.
Mhm.
And so those are what the other domains mean. So
Mhm.
doing, they like to do first,
Right.
then they like to move people, and they like to connect with people. So to really simplify it,
Mhm.
this person is, again, very flexible, very chameleon-like, can adapt to what's going on probably fairly quickly, quicker than maybe some other people might be able to,
Right. Right.
which makes this person very versatile.
Mhm. Mhm.
And you'd want a friend like this for sure.
Right.
So what else can we glean from this?
Well, if we do let's just maybe take their executing strengths
Okay.
and just kind of focus on those a little bit, since we're,
Mm-hmm.
kind of in agreement, and
Mm-hmm.
Clifton Strengths is supporting our theory that
Mm-hmm.
they're a high executor first of all. So achiever is that strength that is the person who has their list of what needs to be done, their goals for the day, their feet hit the floor, and they're do those things, get them done, check it off the list,
Yep.
and they're just energized by getting all those things done
Mm-hmm.
and checking those things off the list. It could be a list in their head or on paper or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
An arranger is also an executing strength, and it is the person who is kind of the conductor of
Mm-hmm.
the symphony.
Yes.
They arrange all the pieces and parts and the people and make sure that it's productive.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I also actually have a ranger at number 3, and I've told this story before. I don't know if I have in our Decoding Your Superpowers series that we're doing, but in 2015, we our family went to Disney World with my sister and her family, and we had 4 days to fit in everything we could fit in to Disney World. So prior to the trip, I got input from everybody of what they wanted to see, what they wanted to experience. And I went through and I created a schedule with fast passes and
I bet you
time to
did.
eat and, the whole thing. And we got so much out of those 4 days because it was efficient
Mm-hmm.
and no one seemed to mind. So that was good.
So
It
yes, if you need to plan anything, you want a ranger in your back pocket, somebody that can
definitely.
to bring all those pieces together and
Yeah,
make them fit
yeah,
efficiently and productively.
yeah. A
And
ranger
that
has
and that
a lot.
energizes you, right? And
It does.
energizes
Yeah,
this
yeah.
person. Like they love all the pieces coming together.
Right. Yeah, yeah. They're the planner.
And let me ask you this as an arranger. If there's a piece of that puzzle missing, do things feel off to you?
Well, actually, not for me, but probably for this person because I'm not a high executor. I have
Mm,
connectedness very high. It's my number 2 strength. So if people need to change things so that they're happier, and I have harmony high. So for me, I can go with the flow because I have a lot of relationship building strengths.
and
But this person might be totally different on that.
And thank you. I want to point that out to piggyback on that piggy tail
Piggy tail.
on that. You both have a ranger, but this
Yeah,
person is going to show up and be used differently than
right,
the way you use a ranger because of your lineup of strengths being
right.
different.
Yeah.
So
And we
even
have
though
it in the
this,
same spot.
yeah, so even that's in the same spot, the same
Yeah.
strength, it's still going to be different for each person.
Hmm.
That's the fun thing about this is we're
Yeah.
working with and looking at the same superpowers, the same strengths, but yet they all are different. That's why
Yeah.
we are so infinitely unique because
Absolutely.
of those combinations. And then I just want to look at, I know, well, let's go to consistency because that's the other executing strength
Yeah.
before I
Yeah.
jump up to
Okay.
number
Yeah.
one.
That's so consistency is fairness, treating people the same across the board. And because it's an executing strength, it's how that person makes sure things get done in the right way. So for them, their belief or their, just it's ingrained in them that treating everybody the same, having the same rules for everyone is the most efficient way to get things done because then everybody knows what to expect.
Mhm.
There's no squabbling back and forth. You know, this is the rules. We all follow the rules and be consistent, be fair.
Mhm. Thank you.
So that's how they get things done.
And this is a strength that the name of it
Hmm.
isn't really describing what the strength is about. So
Hmm.
some people will see that consistency is not in their top 10 and they're like, oh, I want to be more consistent. It has nothing to do with your
Right,
consistency action or your
right.
routine or your discipline. It's about how you treat people. So you have to be careful. Some labels that
Mhm.
Gallup has attached to these are not the definition that we know of.
Mhm.
So you just have to be really careful. I know there's a few other strengths that are like that. Just
Mhm.
looking at them at the surface is not really what the true meaning of the strength is all about. So thank you, Linda.
Yeah.
So those are the those are the three executing.
Right.
So those
Mhm.
are the doing, taking action, creating that plan, going forward and figuring out on the way or
Mhm.
asking questions after the fact.
Right. Just get it done.
Yeah, we just want to get it done imperfectly if needed and just do it.
Right.
And then I do want to talk about woo. That's sitting at number one, and
Yeah. Yeah.
anything that's at the top of the list is going to be more high energy for
Mhm.
a person, a people.
Yeah.
So woo is really, really important to this person. And
Yeah.
woo is probably like you would think it is. Woo
Yeah.
is winning others over.
Right.
Woo. So this person is probably very charming and
Right.
entertaining. This
Mhm.
person will want to work the room. And
Uh-huh.
when you walk into the room, you will see this person. Maybe I just envisioned in the middle of a circle of people, chatting and
Yeah.
and really charming them. And they just love people. They want to connect quickly with people. And then
Mhm.
maybe, possibly, we'd have to talk to this person once they've worked that person over and charmed them. Then that might be done. They're done. Like they
Mhm.
don't, they don't need to go any deeper than that because it was almost like a challenge. Like, oh, okay, I went over these people. I'm good now. I'm going over
Right.
you.
Right.
I went over these people.
Move on to the next challenge.
Yeah, yeah. Again, which could be and maybe not. It just would depend on this person. So this person is really outgoing and just could be seen as a real socializer, a
Mhm.
social person,
Mhm.
which would feed into their relationship building because they
Right.
love to connect with people and their woo is giving them that
Mhm.
opportunity to make those connections.
Mhm.
So we already talked about number 5. Can we chat a little bit about influencing strengths or the
Yeah.
domain influencing?
Yeah.
And I will admit that it's a hard domain for me to really truly understand
Mhm.
because do not have that. That is not even close to my domains. So that's out of all the domains, that's the one that I can understand it to a point and
Right.
then I can't anymore. So I can
Yeah.
talk about what I've learned, but I don't have any true experience with an influencer. And influencers for me, people I've worked with don't really show up a whole lot.
Mhm.
How
Yeah.
about for you?
Yeah, no, well, no, I don't think so. Yeah. And I don't know why that is. But there are some people who have a lot of influencing strengths in their top 10. And so I just don't see them that much. My husband and I, neither one are high in influencing strengths.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a chameleon. So he comes
Mm.
across as, being as having woo, but it's actually like his number 33.
Wow.
Yeah.
And we'll get to a couple of those bottoms here in a
Mhm.
moment. But I wanted to say something about influencing. Everybody can be an influencer. Just
Right.
because you don't have high influencing strengths
Right.
does not mean you can't influence people.
Hmm.
The person with a lot of influencing strengths is a person who has a need, a desire. They're energized by moving someone from their starting point to a higher level, to a better version of themselves, from my understanding. And
Yeah.
they can see all the steps to get that person there. And it excites them. And they feel almost like a nagging obsession to move people
Right.
forward. And
Yeah.
it's so clear to them, even though that
Mhm.
person it doesn't understand, doesn't realize that this is what they need to do to get there. It could be very, very simple, but they're not seeing it. But an influencer can. And so I know I had the realization after I learned my strengths that I used to be really intimidated by, I guess they were influencers.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so now I'm a whole lot better and I understand that this must be an influencer. So I don't need to be intimidated by somebody who has a desire to move people
Right.
forward.
Yeah.
So that was a big insight that was useful for me
Yeah.
personally.
Definitely. Me too.
Hmm.
Yeah. So this person who wants to move people forward, and the maximizer strength there at number 4, it kind of epitomizes that. They see something in someone that's good or strong, and they want to make it superb. They you
Hmm.
know they can see how, if you would just do things their way, you could just shoot to the moon.
Hmm.
But one of the things that we have to teach influencers is that you have to ask, you have to get
Yeah.
permission from someone before you maximize them,
Yeah.
because not
Because
everybody is ready.
exactly. They might not want to move forward. They don't want to be up leveled. They're fine
Right.
where they're at.
Yeah.
And so I get that from my understanding, an influencer can like roll over people with this desire,
Mm-hmm.
and it could be off-putting to people.
Right.
But again, once you understand yourself better, then you can kind of modulate that.
Right. Right.
And you still do what you want to do, but in a softer way that can, help more people.
Mm-hmm.
We're running out of time here. Oh, it's just
Always
I
go
can
so
like
fast.
talk for another hour. But let's take a look, or let's take a gander down at those bottom 5.
Yeah,
And
that's
the bottom 5 are relevant in that we don't have to worry about them. We
mm-hmm.
do not have to worry about them. So which one do you want to pick on or pick at and see what this person does
um
not have to do? And they can just let it go.
yeah, I'm just gonna hop on to number 30 there because of the um just that whole um
Mm,
position of have them having woo at number 1.
mm-hmm.
It is quite normal for relator to be in the bottom,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because woo is winning other people over, it's influencing, it's moving groups of people forward, but relator is a small inner circle.
Mm-hmm.
So quite often, relator, if relator is high, woo is low, and vice versa. So for
Mm-hmm.
this person, they don't have to just have like a small inner circle and be energized by that.
Right.
They can be energized by working the room.
So
Right
it is
there.
not surprising to us in the least that relator is down low.
Definitely.
And some people do have them both up somewhat high, which
Yeah,
is
yeah,
very interesting to have that
yeah.
combination together. But it
Right,
is
right.
possible. It's just
Hmm.
not real common.
Right, not common.
Mhm. And I'm going to look at futuristic at number
Okay.
33. So
Hmm.
this person does not have to live in the future or think about the future or be inspired by the future or inspire others with their visions of the future. So this person is not focused forward into the future. And
Yeah.
so they can just kind of let that go.
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm trying to see where another time related strength is.
Yeah, well, context is 29. So
Oh, yeah,
that's
yeah, right there.
interesting.
Yes, thank
Yeah,
you.
so they're not focused on the past either.
Now, how about this? So
Yeah,
they don't have to worry about the past. They don't worry about the future. They can just be in the moment, in the present
right.
moment,
Hmm.
which kind of makes sense to me as a chameleon being able to
Right.
move back and forth between those three domains.
Hmm.
What's happening now in the moment is giving them feedback and helping them make decisions right there now.
Right.
So that is very cool because not everybody can be in the moment and adapt and be fluid like
Hmm.
that.
Right.
um, and I'm going to look at individualization. That one, I want to look on something. That one is interesting. Let me see if I can. Okay, this is what I'm getting from my little notes here.
Okay.
A person with low individualization, they don't have to be intrigued by the unique qualities of each person.
Hmm.
Okay, they don't have to try to figure out how people are different, how different people can work together productively. So they
Hmm.
don't have to worry about individual qualities and try to I'm not thinking the word. My mind needs to go there. So help me out here, Linda.
Well, so individualization is like seeing each person's strengths and
Mhm.
not just Clifton's strengths, but
Mhm.
their positive qualities and how they can fit into the organization, the family, the team, and who can do the best job for whatever the task may be. So it
Mhm.
kind of has a flavor of executing. Um, but
Good point.
this person's a ranger being as high as it is probably does the same thing that individualization would do for someone else.
Mhm. Yeah, individualization is a mouthful for one thing.
Yeah.
And I have high includer as well.
Hmm.
So it's hard for me to relate to a person of high individualization who is
Yeah.
focused on that person in front of them
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
customize what that person needs. Now I can
Hmm.
do that, but is that something that energizes me or this person? No.
Right.
I mean, we can do things from our bottom strength, just
Hmm.
not in a way that's going to be energizing for us.
Right.
And it actually could be de-energizing if we spend too much time in those bottom
Exactly. Yeah.
strengths.
Hmm.
And that's a lot that we don't expect people to totally understand that because it is a lot. It's a little bit more depth to it. But I like to just touch into those because sometimes it's a real relief if people hear that, oh, you don't have to worry about the past.
Hmm.
You don't have to worry about the future. You don't have to worry about focusing on individuals. You don't have to gather information. That's input.
Right.
And
Right.
sometimes it's just a few of those will just be a relief to the person with this lineup of strengths. Like, oh, thank God, because I
Hmm.
didn't like that anyway. Well, you
Right.
didn't like it because it's in your bottom five. That's why.
Uh-huh.
So I personally don't spend a lot of time down there with people, but it's just nice to know you can,
Hmm.
yeah, let that stuff go.
Hmm. Yeah.
Oh, so many more things we can talk about. I can
Yeah.
have a whole list of things to talk about, but we're out of time. So
Yeah. Tip of the iceberg.
the tip of the iceberg. And I've learned so many, again, nuances, and there's so many depths of understanding.
Mm.
It's really quite incredible. And
Yeah,
Linda and
very
I
rich.
love helping people dig into their strengths and shine a
Mhm.
light on their strengths so they can feel empowered and
Right.
feel worthy and valuable, because I was struggling with all of those things, feelings about myself. But once I really saw my report, my strengths for what they are, that helped me get out of those feelings. Now, do
Mhm.
I stay out of them 100% of the time? No, but way more than I ever used to. So to me, this is empowering information
Right.
so I can work towards that best version of myself.
Yeah, you have a system and a path
Hmm.
and a way to get yourself back on track.
Yes, and we can apply our strengths to any area of our life,
Mhm.
relationships, finances or income or business, um, our own self-belief, our
Mhm.
health. So these can be applied to all areas of anybody's life. And
Absolutely.
we would love to help anybody watching this to help dive into yours. So feel free to reach out. We will put the description and contact information for both of us. We appreciate you being here. Linda, thank you so much for being here. Let me stop my share. And we will be here again next Tuesday, same time, same place, so we
Right.
can dig into another one.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Okay, thanks so much, everybody. Thank you, Linda.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
everyone.